Hi, my name is Jiabao Shen. I'm a Canadian artist based in Vancouver. It's my first show with Lipont Gallery. I always liked pretty things when I was growing up. It was sort of like an adventurous thing for me to do when I was applying for college. And it was like a really good surprise that the art school I wanted to go to accepted me. So it sort of like pushed me towards the path of art. I think to make my life grander, like I could leave something behind other than children. I mostly use oil on canvas and acrylic sometimes, but I also experiment with some other mediums, and I'm like trying to learn new paints that I can work with because there's like so many different new paints coming out. You can't replace oil paint, I think. The kind of richness and texture you get with the pigment, it's so far, it's like, I think my love is oil paint. My artistic process. So if I have like a certain theme or like an idea for a painting in mind already, then I would just blast on some music and then go to work until I get like really exhausted or I want to go for a break or grab some food. I would just keep on painting until I get something I could work with. But if I don't have an idea for a painting, then the process is more like researching and looking for inspiration from other sources, like maybe concerts or like travel. K-pop. K-pop and like whatever is popular on YouTube trending. I just put it on for like a couple of hours. You get influenced by it's sort of like a subconscious influence, but I think it does change. I mean, if you put on something like Mozart for hours, it's gonna be different than when you put on K-pop for hours. I get inspired by a lot of things. It's more like it's more of like a physical thing. It's like when you're in the mood to paint or like you're hungry for something, and then the themes, they come later, but it's first of all, it's you're like in that right mood that you want to go paint something, and then you gather the raw materials and then you work it until the painting itself appears. I name them based on the color themes and the vibe that I get from the paintings. It's usually you start out wanting to paint a certain kind of mood, but then it changes because the art changes during the process. So usually you end up with something different than your original intention. It naturally shifts. I think the original idea and the end result is there's always some change in between. Spring Tide. I named it Spring Tide, but it's like that's the one painting I think I really pushed myself for this show. I didn't want to look at it anymore after I finished it. I just want to get away from it, run away from it. The reason you want to get away from it is because you looked at it so much that you sort of get like a PTSD. It's like you don't want to change it anymore, you don't want to touch it. but it's also some paintings you know you can't make the exact same one again. So if you sell it, it's like gone. It's like even if you try to copy it, it's not the same. So I can understand why other artists would like want to spend more time with their favorite painting. I think the style is like you leave it to the viewer to decide. It's very hard for you to call yourself a certain style when you're still in the process of like growing as an artist, because you're still absorbing and then you're learning new styles yourself. So it changes a lot with time. Yeah, it would be like my dream to have one of Monet's paintings. Yeah, I would need to make a lot of money, so. Some of my influences are from like more traditional artists like Monet. Well, they weren't traditional in their time, but they're traditional now. So like Monet, and then my other favorite artist is Marc Chagall. But I also get influenced by a lot of like Japanese elements, like the anime and Japanese illustrators like Yoshitaka Amano. And I will also say I get influenced a lot by social media, because it's basically in my life, part of my life now. I think it's wonderful for the art industry. It's like now you can have artists just showing their work super fast with their phone. So that's like millions of mini art galleries on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. But it's also harder for the viewer to find their favorite artists, because there's such a big, I guess, market to sift through. So it's good, but it's also harder. I think like old artists, like artists from older times, they're never exposed to too much art. It's like maybe their whole life they can just go to this one art gallery in this one town, and then they see like a couple of paintings, like back when books and print wasn't even popular yet. But now it's like you can see so many artists on your phone, on the internet. I think it makes your art better. Of course, you're gonna be happy when tons of people click on your posts and they like your stuff, but you can't really change what you want to paint based on the likes, because it doesn't really work that way. I mean, unless you're doing it for ads, and that would be like a different story, but I think you go through that stage and then you go past it. I would say like cinema and theater and drama. Yeah, I really liked reading when I was growing up, so I really like reading stories like Wuthering Heights, and so I get pulled towards the dramatic personas and stories. I think like those kind of stories put me in the mood of wanting to paint and like create art. I'm still at like the very beginning of my artistic career, but I think getting into art school was like the deciding moment, because I wasn't really serious about it before that. I think getting accepted and going to art school sort of like gave you this identity as an art student, and then it made pursuing a career in art seemed more real. I price them based on sometimes it's about the size, but sometimes it's also about like the amount of energy you put in, like time-wise and mentally, like how much thought went into a painting. Like some pieces, the composition is easier, so you can let it go for cheaper, and some are like really expensive because you put too much work into it. I'm like really excited about it and curious about it because I think there's a lot of challenges coming up. Like there's a lot of new technology is challenging the art industry because it used to be like a sort of smaller circle, but now it's like you have social media, you have things like AI art, and it's all challenging like your identity as an artist and the industry itself. I think it's a very interesting tool. It's a very exciting tool, and it's gonna push artists to the limit because now you have this competition. You have to compete with like a computer, and not just a computer, but like thousands of like great masters that's teaching this computer. I think I want to create something that makes people feel it's not too bad to be born into this world. Like, there's something nice to look at that's worthwhile. Like, it makes them feel good to be alive. I think there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, and like sometimes you just feel down and really gloomy all the time, but like art makes life better. Marc Chagall, Monet, Yoshitaka Amano. That's 3, and then I'm not gonna say Picasso. It's too cheesy. Maybe it's so hard to think of. Hackney, and then there's a French female painter that I really like. I think her name is Seraphine Louise. I think, yeah, that's all I can think of right now. Yes, I think they're very popular. It's like for something to be able to go viral and then to be used by so many people instantaneously is like, you know, there's something innate about it.